But what if Georgia's a good football team that can actually still win the SEC East and be a 10-2, 9-3 football team? So if I was to fast forward in the future and get reactions from fans, you know what the problem in my mind would be, Josh? That the reaction would be 180 degrees from what Georgia fans are saying right now on how good Mark Richt did coming in with a quarterback who transferred, who had never been in this offense.
I couldn't help but notice there you said Georgia has something to prove.
Yeah.
You didn't say Mark Richt has anything to prove.
No, it's a team thing.
Good man.
Word.
So I log on to a website of some prominence today, and I see a headline in the college football section. If Mark Richt doesn't win this weekend, it's time for he and Georgia to part ways. So where we're at now, with guys paid to write for national publications, mind you, is that after 15 years worth of a sample size, the next 4 quarters will really show you if you have the right guy for the job or not.
The Auburn Tigers, need to mimic their effort that they had against Arkansas last week.
But they lost last week, so how could this be?
Well, Auburn lost the football game, but you know what they were able to do? They were able to generate a running game, which has been their forte for the past 4 or 5 years. And it was ultra successful against Arkansas if you didn't watch the football game. So what can a loss do for you, Josh? It can do a lot for you. It can show you the team that you can be at the back end of the season. It's funny how Auburn and Georgia seem to be in the same situation for me for 2 different reasons. And when I look at Auburn, you know what last week looked like, Josh? The effort was there for Auburn. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
The game plan was excellent, in my opinion. Would you agree with that? You know what wasn't up to par for Auburn?
Execution.
The execution. And oh my goodness, because the execution on the field wasn't good enough, what happened? They lost. Isn't that a novel concept?
Spot-wise, this screams take the points. Clemson, 58-0 win at Miami last week. They've got Florida State on deck. They travel to sleepy Raleigh, North Carolina to play NC State this weekend. 10.5-point favorite is Clemson. If they are who you say they are, they'll cover that thing by halftime.
I want to look at schedule strictly in the SEC right now, because when I say it ain't over till it's over, I mean it. Auburn still has Ole Miss to play. Auburn still has Georgia to play. Auburn still has Alabama to play. Alabama still has LSU to play. Ole Miss still has LSU to play. Those are just 4 or 5 games on the schedule that will be a huge determining factor on who goes to Atlanta to play in the SEC title and who may play for a National Football Playoff spot.
You got a ton of Bulldog callers on your program. If I asked you to break it down right now percentage-wise, supporters of Mark Richt versus Georgia fans that want him gone, how does it break down percentage-wise?
I usually say it's 50-50. But it's starting to sway. I think it's more like, maybe a 60, 65, 35, get rid of him now. So yeah, it's starting to sway that way. What's funny, and you even said this today when you called in, that this Saturday is going to mean a lot when we're talking about Mark Richt's job. Really, like you said, 15 years and you haven't figured that out. So it's going to decide on this one game right here.
But it seems, Kevin Sumlin and A&M, they compare very favorably to Auburn in terms of programs. Sumlin gets all kind of heat. Malzahn's kind of gotten a pass, I would assume, because of what he almost did in 2013. How much heat has he gotten on your program?
Not much at all, other than Buckets. Buckets gave him a little bit of heat, but not much at all. You're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna feel any heat there for at least another year or two. I don't think.
You need a win, and you need it bad. You think Mark Richt needs a win? He hasn't lost 9 in a row. This guy is teetering on the brink of losing 9 in a row. Confidence picks when we come back. It's Football Nightly Down South.
Look, Florida has been the team that's played better to this point. I think Georgia is the better football team.
Is that a 10?
It's a 10.
That's a 10.
For the 3rd week in a row, because I am 2-0 on my 10s this year. Nobody else on this set can say that.
No.
Auburn will be able to, in my mind, to be more physical than Ole Miss. They will mimic that effort that I think they had against Arkansas and have them at a 5 at home.
Okay, I have to admit something to you.
What?
You've been lied to. Throw them up, Matt.
Yes!
I'm going Florida.
I hope so.
I'm not flipping.
Let's go.
And it is a pride thing, because I did want to take them, but I'm not flipping. I don't want to listen to a mouth of somebody that's lost 8 weeks in a row. Trash talk.
Let's go.
Ole Miss, I'm going to stick with Auburn as well. Tennessee at Kentucky, I told you, there is nothing I see that indicates Kentucky has a shot in this game, which is why I'm not going 10 on it, because that's usually when I get burnt. So Tennessee and 8.